Welcome as we begin our process of opening to the energies of Taurus as an esoteric group. Taurus, we're told, the penetrating light of the path where all is light, that this is a beam of light streaming forth from the point in Aries and revealing the area of light control. Master DK instructs us, I would point out that the two greatest revealing agents who ever came to earth, the Buddha, the Lord of wisdom and of light, and the Christ, the head of the hierarchy, at least within the range of our modern history, made the following simple revelations to humanity. The cause of all human suffering is desire and personal selfishness. Give up desire and you will be free. There is a way of liberation, and it leads to illumination. It profits a man nothing to gain the whole world and lose his soul. Every human being is a son of God. And there is a way of liberation, and it is the way of love and sacrifice. Remembering in Taurus, as we prepare to visualize the Christ on the plateau in the Wesak Valley as the Buddha appears, knowing that this event brings together the brothers of wisdom and love. Remember that it was Christ who taught the transmutation of desire into aspiration, and for the will to conform itself to the will of God. And it links the Wesak festival and the festival of Christ in June together so beautifully. So we envision, with the keynotes of Taurus, with clear seeing, pure, joyful will, and death of personality desire, we envision our ascent from the lower planes of matter, forging the instruments of constructive living as we look to the light of the path up to the mountaintop and breathe the wisdom of the masters into our very being, going forth in the illumined clear air of Venus and the pure, joyful will of Vulcan, fused as solar fire, creating the key which unlocks the mystery of life. So let us, in these early days of the Taurian energies, prepare for the Wesak festival, this great and solemn event, opening to the energies of Taurus, this sign that holds the mystery of the purpose of deity, as Michael Robbins says,
of the intention of the great ones to assemble, to receive, and to bless, of the intention of the great Buddha, who long ago passed beyond the need to be associated with us, but who chose to remain on the path of earth service, even though perhaps it was not his specific designated path, and whose compassion for humanity is so great that for long he has returned with his shambolic blessing, adding his energy to that of the great Lord the Christ, and thereby elevating all of us.
The period of the Wesak Festival on the Inner Plains in 1936 and 1937 was extended to cover 5 days, 2 preceding the festival itself and 2 succeeding the festival. The Wesak hour is of momentous import. 5 days of a most intensive effort in service, leading to the renunciation of all which could hinder our usefulness as channels of spiritual force. It means that after due preparation, dedication, and upward striving for the first 2 days, on the day of the festival itself, we simply regard ourselves as the recipients of, or the custodians of, as much of that inflowing spiritual force as we can possibly hold. As channels, We must be prepared to forget ourselves in the service of touching, containing, and holding force for the rest of humanity.
So we envision the Buddha suspended above the triangle of the Christ, the Manu and the Mahachohan, and the hierarchy, the assembled group of masters, disciples, and initiates on the plateau in the shadow of Mount Kailash to give his blessing when he returns for 8 minutes at the point of the exact moment of the Wesak. Note the time this will occur for you. And as DK says, remember, no matter who you are or where you may be placed, or what is the nature of our environment, no matter how isolated we may feel, or how apart from those who may share our spiritual vision, each of us can that day, and for the period immediately following and preceding it, work and think and act in group formation and function as a silent distributor of force.
May the holy ones, whose disciple I am, show me the light I seek. Give me the strong aid of their compassion and their wisdom. There is a peace which passeth understanding. It abides in the hearts of those who live in the eternal. There is a power which maketh all things new. It lives and moves in those who know the self as one. May that peace brood over us, that power uplift us, till we stand where the one initiator is invoked, till we see his star shine forth.
Part 1. Our themes, as we open and orient to the energies of Taurus and the new astrology, are incentive, vision, illumination, intuition, and wisdom, as we explore the quality of the heart given to us by Master DK, wisdom, as an aspect of group consciousness.
The entire secret of divine purpose and planning is hidden in this sign. Will is active, purpose is passive. Our group focus in Taurus. Wisdom, the quality of the heart center aligned with the will to good. The sign of major life incentive, the incentive towards experience in order to gain knowledge, the symbol of desire in all its phases. Dual in its nature, driven forth by the urge of aspiration, or controlled by the will to cooperate with the plan.
Under the influence of the incentive in Taurus, what can we learn from Master Jaikul, from his teachings, that will assist us in understanding the relationship of Taurus to the life and advancement of humanity through the Buddha and the quality of the second ray, the quality of the heart, wisdom? The keynotes of illumination, of vision, of sight, or of spiritual perception, and of the fusion of the Occidental or the mystic way are dominant in this cycle. The Buddha summed up in himself all the light of the past as far as humanity was concerned. He was the culminating messenger and demonstrated the innate possibilities of mankind, radiating the light of wisdom in relation to the light of substance, and producing that dual blaze or flaming light which had been fanned and fostered, though not fully expressed, by humanity up to that time. He came forth as the flower or fruition of the past, and as the guarantee of man's innate capacity. We seek to control them today mentally and theoretically, but only the energy of wisdom will suffice to dispel the forces of the world glamour and the world illusion. Practice wisdom, my brothers, and thus aid humanity and shorten its astral struggle. Christ, whilst able also to say, I am the light of the world, went further in his manifestation and gave a vision of the next step, demonstrating the light of the soul and pointing to the future, thus presenting that which could be because he had released on earth the cosmic principle of love. Love is an aspect of the will, which is a point very little realized by the mass of men. It is the will to draw into itself, or the will to attract into itself. And this will, when exerted toward that which is not material, we, in reaction to the differentiating mind, call love. But humanity has to see that which must be loved, before that power of the will is sufficiently evoked. Then the vision can become a manifestation and a fact in expression.
So let us vision as we sound the mantram of light. Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus, with the light, we work and turn the darkness into day.
In Atlantean days, I'm here telling you something of interest and something which should evoke a sense of responsibility. The major task of the masters of the wisdom was with the great world illusion, or rather, glamour. They worked then primarily upon the astral plane, and had they not done so, human life and conditions would not be so good as they are. For they are in reality full of beauty, the beauty of potentiality, hovering upon the verge of immediacy of expression. Today, the masters of the wisdom are working primarily upon the mental plane, dealing with ideas and with their impression upon the minds of their disciples in advanced humanity. It is the problem of humanity as a whole to work in the world glamour. It is the responsibility of the aspirants of the world to guide humanity out of the valley of glamour. Men must learn to understand it, and eventually, aided by the senior disciples of the world, trained by the masters of the wisdom, to transmute and dispel it. You should, therefore, bear in mind that the task before the modern disciple is to carry forward into the New Age the idea of the bringing of glamour and of the great illusion into the light. In the light, it will disappear. In this age, we have mastered, too well perhaps, the forces of nature and have brought out for our own benefit the material resources of the physical plane. We have conquered them and bend them to our will and use, often selfishly, yet sometimes with good and pure intent. In the New Age, a paralleling control will take place over the world of astral phenomena and over the forces of glamour and illusion.
So, how do we develop vision? Vision is an illumination that reveals the underlying synthesis.
Through visualization. Visualization is the initial step in the demonstration of the occult law that energy follows thought. This, of course, everyone interested in occult study recognizes theoretically. One of the tasks confronting disciples is to achieve factual knowledge of this. Pictorial visualization, which is a definite feature of the work in many esoteric schools, is simply an exercise to bring about the power to visualize. In the work of those disciples who are being trained for initiation, this external aspect of visualization must give place then to an interior process, which is the first step towards the direction of energy.
Yvonne?
The study of symbols conceptually carries you inward from the brain to the mind into the realm of ideas. It sweeps into focused activity the mental apparatus. You then become aware of the concept or idea which the sign or symbol embodies. You comprehend its meaning and for what it stands. You grasp the purpose for which the form has been brought into manifestation. We are told that the dissipation of glamour and the dispelling of illusion are greatly enhanced through visualization and the study of symbols. This study, viewed as a whole, involves 3 stages. First, the investigation of a symbol and the consequent progress of the analyst from one progressive stage of awareness to another, to a gradual inclusion of the entire field covered by the symbol. Secondly, an intuitive perception of the symbols to be seen everywhere in the divine manifestation. Third, the use of symbols on the physical plane and the right adaptation to be seen and recognized purpose, leading to the subsequent magnetization of the symbol with the needed quality through which the idea can make its presence felt, in order that the intuited, qualified idea may find proper form on the physical plane. I would like to make clear to you that there is no set interpretation of any symbol, and that for each human being, that symbol, whatever it may be, will convey a unique meaning. A lack of interest in symbols presupposes usually a lack of interest in the due interpretation of life forms and their meaning. Also, too much academic interest in symbols may presuppose a tortuous and intricate mind, which loves design and line and form and numerical relationships, but which misses entirely the significance of meaning. the balancing in the mind of form and concept, expression and quality, sign and meaning, is vital to the growth of the disciple and aspirant. The great need for most students is to arrive at meaning and to work with ideas and concepts. This activity will necessitate the use of the mind to understand, to grasp, and to interpret. It requires the development of that mental sensitivity, which will enable its possessor to respond to the vibrations of what we call the universal mind, the mind of God, the instigator of the plan.
Let us prepare to enter fully into the ceremony at the time of the Wesak festival, subjectively using our creative visualization to vision and hear. The hierarchy of masters is calling to all working initiates and disciples, and to all aspirants of mental focus, to cooperate as fully as they can in an intensive effort to increase the receptivity of humanity to the new forces which can be released to perform their benevolent synthesizing work during the month of May. We see the masters gathering with aspirants and disciples on the plateau. Subjectively hear them calling to us to join them.
The visualizing of pictures is intended to focus the aspirant within the head at a point midway between the pituitary body and the pineal gland. In that area, he draws pictures and paints scenes, and thus acquires facility to see, in large and in detail, that which he desires and for which he intends to work. The visualizing of what might be called directed process goes on in a more focused manner and in the area directly around the pineal gland. The pineal gland then becomes the center of a magnetic field, which is set in motion in the first place by the power of visualization. At that point, energy is gathered by the disciple and then directed with intention to one or other of the centers. This focused thought produces inevitable effects within the etheric body, and thus two aspects of the creative imagination are brought into play.
Let us review a visualization exercise given to one of the disciples by Master DK, remembering that he shared all the exercises with all his disciples. I would ask you for a few minutes each morning, prior to doing the group meditation, to rest quietly back in your chair or bed and, closing your eyes, link up with your soul and with me, your friend. You will thus create a triangle of light between your soul, your head center, and myself. Fix and hold this triangle firmly in your consciousness through the power of the creative imagination. You have the Buddhic plane, the higher mental plane, and the lower mental plane. Then see it next as a solid triangle of light and not just as an outline. The base of the triangle is on the mental plane where I work and where dwells and works your soul. The lower point, or apex, touches the top of your head. Then see, pouring down, via the triangle, a stream of light, golden in color and not white. It is more light orange than white. See this flooding your whole body. So you have the Buddhic plane and the higher mental plane. When you have visualized this as perfectly as possible, then rest back in that light and bathe in it as you would bathe in the waters of the sea. See it permeating every part of your physical equipment and let it do its work without your having any definite ideas as to what should be accomplished. The rest of the activity is in my hands, and you can safely leave it to me. This exercise will aid you in handling your life problem and your service until such time as you enter into that light wherein consciousness awakens, free from the bonds of flesh. But that time is not immediate. Visualization, vision, energy follows thought. Energy follows thought, and the eye directs that energy. This has been an occult platitude ever since the days of HPB, during whose time it was decided that this was the first of the points of revelation which could safely be given to the general public. The assertion of this revealed fact was an essential piece of knowledge in the world prior to the externalization of the ashrams, or, my brother, of the hierarchy. The thought that all this energy has already been accepted by modern science, and the concept of vision, the first step towards understanding the use of the spiritual eye, is already part of the teaching of modern philosophy and of many of the metaphysical schools. Taurus stands as the eye of illumination or light, the bullseye. Exoterically, the physical sun.
Just as the physical eye came into being in response to the light of the sun, so the spiritual eye, also called the third eye, equally comes into being in response to the light of the spiritual sun. As the aspirant develops, he becomes aware of the light. I refer to the lights in all forms, veiled by all sheets and expressions of the divine life, and not just to the light within the aspirant himself. As his awareness of this light increases, so the apparatus of vision develop, and the mechanism whereby he can see things in the spiritual light comes into being in the etheric body. The seeing of the light within all forms through the agency of the third eye, brought into being through the realization of the light in the head, the spiritual light, is but the correspondence to the physical eye, revealing forms in the light of the physical sun. This corresponds to the personality. The third eye, or spiritual eye, has several functions. It is the organ of illumination, the unveiled eye of the soul, through which light and illumination comes into the mind, and thus the entire lower life becomes irradiated. It is also the organ through which pours the directing energy which streams out from the conscious creating adept, initiate of the fourth degree, to the instruments of service his thought forms.
We are told that Taurus carries the fair jewel which gives light upon its forehead. Illumination. From every angle, illumination remains the theme of this sign. Taurus guards the secret of light and confers illumination upon the initiate. The secret of eventual synthesis is the final illumination through the eye of Taurus.
Let us affirm together. The golden rays that issue from the heart of the sun pour forth and bathe my soul in the soul of all created forms. Within those forms, the life of God awakens, and the power of God streams forth as will, as dedication to the plan, as strength to work and give, as must a son of God.
Taurus, the penetrating light of the path. This Shambhala force is that which fans or intensifies the light by the removal of obstructions, pouring through the eye of illumination into those spheres of influence upon the sorrowful planet, the earth, impelling the bull upon its onward rush. So speaks the old commentary. The import of this is that the energy of will, newly released by Sanat Kumara upon our planet, emanates via the head center of the planetary logos from the Great Bear.
Master DK tells us, "It is of course not possible for me to give you any true picture of the interior events and happenings in the life of our planetary being. I can only indicate and point out that the world situation is simply an embodiment of the reaction and the response by mankind to great paralleling and originating happenings which involve the following groups: the emanating avatar, the Lord of the world, our planetary logos, the Lords of liberation, the three Buddhas of activity, the Great Council Chamber at Shambhala, the planetary hierarchy, the Buddha and his arhats, and the Christ and his disciples, the masters of wisdom."
So let us invoke the Lords of Liberation focused in their high place as they become conscious of the invocation of humanity and become more closely related to the three Buddhas of activity. Let us sound together. Let the Lords of Liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth and coming save. Come forth, O mighty one.
What does each group contribute to the achievement of the point of tension attained by the Buddha and the Christ at the time of the Wesak festival? Should the two great lords and the focused and attentive hierarchy succeed in producing what might be regarded as a form of planetary alignment and the needed open channel through which these extra planetary energies can pour, it still remains for the disciple of the world and for the new group of world servers to act as the medium of transmission and communication between the world thinkers and this inner spiritual group of workers. We have, therefore, the focused hierarchy in deep attentiveness under the group composed of the two lords, the 21 Shohans, and the masters of the 7 rays. We have the disciple of the world and the new group of world servers given the opportunity to focus in their turn and act as a channel of transmission. We have also the unhappy and bewildered world of man, waiting in eager expectancy for an event which can take place if the aspirants of the world measure up to the opportunity. A new group of world servers beginning to form and develop cohesion. Ajna Center, Humanity, 5th Ray, 5th Root Race. A synthesis of the personality forces, when highly developed, is a great directing and distributing agent. Intuition, the goal. Mercury and Uranus. The energy of initiation. Development of inclusiveness. 5 centers rapidly awakening. The focal point of personality of the initiate.
So let us sound together. And may we stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O Mighty One. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O Mighty One.
The hierarchy, the embodiment of the 5th kingdom in nature, and its magnetic, attractive rapport with the human kingdom, the 4th. A call has been sent out to the entire hierarchy of masters to prepare themselves for an intensive holy month in Taurus of accelerated service. And all of the masters of the 7 rays, no matter what their departmental work may at this time be, are getting into immediate cooperation and close contact with the 3 masters on their particular ray, who are acting as the ray intermediaries. The effect of all these great groups of life upon humanity and the inherent consequences as they work out in the subhuman kingdoms. Let us trace the path of these energies, which we use in our service on behalf of humanity, in superimposed triangles.
The triangle of synthesis, the avatar of synthesis, the spirit of peace, and the Lord Buddha. Relating to the Lord of the world, and from thence to the triangle of Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, invoking the Lords of Liberation. And into our group and groups, and the new group of world servers. And what is going to be accomplished at this momentous full moon in May? So what is it that should be accomplished at each momentous full moon in May? Master DK gives us the objectives sequentially and in the order of their importance, and with as much clarity and brevity as this abstruse subject permits. The first, the releasing of certain energies which can potently affect humanity, and which will, if released, stimulate the spirit of love, of brotherhood, and of goodwill on the earth. These energies are as definite and as real as those energies with which science occupies itself and calls the cosmic rays. DK is speaking of real energies and not of emotionally desired abstractions. Let us endeavor to envision these energies to the best of our ability. The second objective, the fusion of all people of goodwill in the world into an integrated, responsive whole. In these days of preparation, let us envision the people of goodwill in the world fusing into an integrated, responsive whole. The third objective of this momentous event, the invocation and the response of certain great beings, whose work can and will be possible if the first of the objectives is achieved through the accomplishment of the second objective. The first being the release of the certain energies that are real, and enabling, secondly, the fusion of all people of goodwill into an integrated, responsive whole. So Master DK is giving us the interrelation of these three objectives and goes on to describe these great beings. He tells us to ponder on the synthesis of the three objectives, knowing that these great beings can be regarded as the vice-regents of God, who can and will cooperate with the spirit of life and of love upon our planet, the one in whom we live and move and have our being. They may also be regarded by certain thinkers as the archangels of the Most High, whose work has been made possible through the activity of Christ and his body of disciples, the true and living church. They may also be regarded by others as the guiding heads of the planetary hierarchy, who stand behind our planetary evolution and who seldom take an active outer part in the world activity, leaving it to the masters of the wisdom, except in the time of an emergency such as this. He goes on to say, by whatever name we call them, they stand ready to aid if the call comes forth with sufficient strength and power from the aspirants and disciples at the time of the May full moon, and extending through and including the June full moon, which we know unites the power of the Buddha and the Christ. And then finally, he gives us the fourth accomplishment of each momentous May full moon, the evocation from the inner side of a strenuous and one-pointed activity on the part of the hierarchy of masters, those illumined minds to whom has been confided the work of world direction. Those illumined minds to whom has been confided the work of world direction. And a responsiveness is desired and can be effective between three groups. And he goes on to give us more definition of those three groups. This first group, the waiting and at this time anxious hierarchy, anxious because even they cannot tell how humanity will react and whether men will be wise enough to avail themselves of the proffered opportunity. They, the hierarchy, stand organized under the direction of the Christ, the master of all masters and the teacher alike of angels and of men. The Christ has been constituted the direct intermediary between the earth and the Buddha. The Christ has been constituted the direct intermediary between the earth and the Buddha, who is, in his turn, the consecrated intermediary between the entire waiting hierarchy and the attentive forces. This is a critical point that we need to understand, the relationships in this first group, the anxious hierarchy, and the relation of the hierarchy with the Christ and with the Buddha. A responsiveness is desired and can be effective in terms of the evocation from the inner side by the new group of world servers, the second group, composed at this time of all those sensitive and consecrated servers of the race, whose objective is world peace, who aim at the establishing of goodwill on earth as the basis for future living and world expansion. Originally, this group was composed of a handful of accepted disciples and consecrated aspirants. Its ranks have been opened to all those people of goodwill who are working actively for real understanding, who are willing to sacrifice themselves for the helping of humanity, and who see no separating bar of any kind, but feel alike to the people of all races, all nationalities, and all religions. Are we truly members of the new group of world servers? Are we willing to sacrifice ourselves for the helping of humanity? Are we working actively for real understanding? Are we able to say of ourselves, there is no separating bar of any kind, that we feel alike to people of all races, we feel alike to people of all nationalities, and we feel alike to people of all religions? Are we truly members of the new group of world servers? A responsiveness is desired and can be effective in terms of the evocation from the inner side by the new group of world servers, the second group, composed at this time of all those sensitive and consecrated servers of the race, whose objective is world peace, who aim at the establishing of goodwill on earth as the basis for future living and world expansion. And the third group, for the evocation from the inner side of a strenuous and one-pointed activity on the part of the hierarchy of the masters. A responsiveness is desired and can be effective from the masses of men and women who have responded to the ideas which have been set forth and who react favorably to the objectives of international understanding, economic interdependence, and religious unity. Therefore, we have the three groups: the waiting and anxious hierarchy, the new group of world servers, and the masses of humanity who can respond to the ideas which have been set forth. So let all aspirants and disciples sound together in unison. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O Mighty One, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. The key words of Taurus: I see, and when the eye is opened, all is light. Master DK tells us the power of unified thought is little grasped as yet, and the power inherent in the light of many minds, rendering them effective instruments in world affairs, penetrating and dissipating glamour, and proving creative upon the physical plane, will prove to be a part of the new modes of work which will be employed in the new age. For this, the hierarchy has planned and worked, and it is now prepared to test the effectiveness of that work by organizing a group or groups which will work upon the problem of glamour. We meet on Saturday, April 20th, to explore the act of will, an essential differentiation from the individual dissipation of glamour with the dissipation of group glamour, and we endeavor to develop skill in action as a group in this important service at this critical time in the evolution of humanity. So let us remember the words of Master DK. No matter who you are, no matter who we are, or where we may be placed, or what is the nature of our environment, no matter how isolated we may feel or apart from those who may share our spiritual vision, each of us can that day, the Wesak festival, the full moon of Taurus, and for the period immediately following and preceding it, work and think and act in group formation and function as a silent distributor of force. We'll continue opening to the energies on Sunday, April 21st, and look at the themes of intuition and the third eye as it develops, and the Ajna Center becomes that distributing agency as the new group of world servers. And we'll conclude next Saturday, or the second Saturday, the 27th of April, focusing on the science of the rays and the science of triangles in relation to Taurus. Gratitude for your attendance with us today, and gratitude to all those who've contributed their time and energies to this series and voicing of the teachings. The Arcane School Conference is this weekend. Gratitude to Lucis Trust and Dwayne Carpenter for the animations that he shares that help us to move from visualization to true vision required of us as we move together in service. So let us sound the first stanza of the great invocation in this opening to the energies of Taurus. Let the forces of light bring illumination to humanity. Let the spirit of peace be spread abroad. May people of goodwill everywhere meet in the spirit of cooperation. May forgiveness on the part of all be the keynote at this time. Let power attend the efforts of the great ones. So let it be, and help us to do our part. Sound a silent Om from the highest point in the head center, unified with all servers, all those gathering as we prepare for the Taurus full moon.